Well, it's the second week of my second year of graduate school. I've had my first digital humanities class and I've gotten really into the methods class. I've been to the schools and all, and I figured it would be a good time to just do some reflections on where I'm at, especially with regards to the digital humanities class. I didn't really know what to expect going into this class because it's so different than any other classes that I've taken before. So many of the other classes that I've had focus so much more on getting things done, whereas this one sort of seems like a playground, as Dr. Hicks puts it. I'm excited about that. I think it's important that we have space where we're able to do what we want to do and able to try out new technologies and get to do things that we probably aren't going to have time to experiment a lot with when we're actually in the classrooms teaching full-time, either in the spring and then especially so after next year once we have a lot more on our plates than we have right now. I've signed up for 6 of the different workshops. There's some of them that I already know a little bit about, and some that I don't, and then there's also some that I don't really know how they're going to be useful for social studies, but I think it will be interesting to get in there and get to see what Dr. Cater and Dr. Hicks have come up with as far as the actual applications of these technologies. That's something that I'm really looking forward to doing. Just taking a look at the syllabus and having read over probably 100 pages of syllabi over the past 2.5 weeks, there's a lot that we're going to do this semester, and digital humanities seems like it's going to really supplement what we're doing with Dr. Hicks and what we're doing in the early field placement, and then of course what I'm sure we'll deal with in the early field placement next year. I really like the Play Sandbox initiative, or that way of describing the class, because I think that's really, really valuable to realize that it's a safe space. We get to try things that we might not get to do ordinarily. I have spent some money. I went ahead and got a flip camera. I'm using my MacBook for this one though, just because I want to try out both of them and see what I think works easier. And it's going to be neat to have all of these technologies in my skill set once we're done with this year. And I think it's something that will really help me stand out in job interviews, because a lot of teachers out of grad school aren't being prepared the same way that we are. There aren't really a lot of questions that I have about this class. I feel like our expectations are really fairly clearly set, and I'm sure that more details will come as we get further along, but it is going to be a good year. I do have some reservations, like I talked about in my interview that we did during class last week. Technology is something that's so different now than it was when I was in school, and I attended a relatively rural school, relatively poorly funded, and we didn't have flip cameras. They didn't even exist then. We didn't have LCD projectors. We didn't have laptops. We didn't have wireless internet. So a lot of these technologies are so different than what I'm used to. And in my mind, I still think of education in a sense of what it was when I experienced it, and not what it's going to be as a teacher. That being said, I do worry that we are being set up to get very accustomed to using technologies that we might not necessarily have access to next year, or even this year in the schools. Being that Virginia Tech has a great school of education, we have access to a lot of resources, and we are a technology school, we're definitely ahead of the curve, and in a couple of years, I think the things that we are doing will be a lot more widespread. But for right now, I'm apprehensive that we aren't going to have the skill set of being able to go into a classroom where the technology that we have is really not a whole lot different than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. So that's that's something that I'm concerned about and will probably continue to be concerned about until I actually get into the classroom on my own. But I think technology is something that we can definitely use, and it is the wave of the future. It's things that we're going to have, and I feel like we're going to get trained really well as educators in this program. This class should be a very good time. I look forward to getting to start the mini studios, the scribe posts, and everything, and it will be a really great semester. And that's all that I have for this week.